On sentence. It's like the best, most ingenious
I
sentence
feel
ever.
like we're gonna overdo it though, because you're just always like, "Oh, this is the best recording. I know when to start talking. It is the best."
I do not always overdo that.
Really? You don't? Oh,
Just
okay.
3 times today. Just 3 times.
Okay.
I've only been on Zoom 3 times today, so I guess 3 times is a bit much. But I mean, I'm
You
gonna
know
do it
what?
tomorrow.
I'm gonna just. Yes, you
tomorrow.
are.
But tomorrow's our day off.
Yeah. So you're not gonna do it tomorrow, but on Wednesday she'll be right back at it. Oh my goodness! I can't believe it. Like it's the first time she's ever heard it. I'm Jay.
Oh, oh wow, yeah.
High five.
Yes.
Social distance, y'all, because COVID's still don't touch people's hands.
Yes.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna go back to like 2 weeks ago. I saw someone do this ancient ritual of a handshake, and I just wanted to run over like squirt, 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 squirt.
And it was like as you're watching, we're like, let me just wash my hands. That's terrible.
And they're still shaking. No,
that's terrible. What has COVID turned us into? All right. Anyway, we wrote literary life guides with our poetry. And I thought the worst was bad with other life lessons. And I thought being grown up was easy. If only I would meet a memoir in verse. If we're in coffee and okay, these are genre books. Yeah, all of that. You can check that out where you get your audiobooks. And for the rest of like the 17, 20, whatever, because we lose count.
So many books.
We lose count, y'all. We lose count. Yeah. So for those, you can go to www.andithoughladies.com. Y'all, because I was about to send you to the old website. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go to the new one. So beautiful.
If you go to the old
one, excuse me. We have a guest.
We do.
Yeah. So y'all aren't here to hear about us. You're here to hear from our wonderful guest.
Wonderful guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I am Katherine Beck, and I have my own podcast, actually, which is called the All American Actors Podcast, because I work quite a bit with actors, voiceover artists, presenters from all different countries that want to learn how to master the American accent so that they can work in the US film and TV industry. And my background is in acting and voiceover. But I fell into American accent coaching when I moved from Hollywood to Sydney, Australia 16 years ago and figured out, well, I don't sound Australian, so I better learn the Australian accent so I can continue to be an actor. And it was in that process that I learned a thing or two and decided to become a dialect coach, which is why I teach, a lot of actors from other countries that want to sound American. That's predominantly what I do.
Wow. I mean, that is like using some skill set right there. That's using what you have. I like it.
Okay, first of all, it explains like when I got on here, I was like, I thought she said Australia. Where's the accent? Okay, I'm sorry. That also showed that I was really, really slow today. It's blonde under hair.
Is it blonde? Are you sure?
Blondish gray, but that's not
blondish gray. You mean platinum. You mean platinum. Yeah. What?
Anyway,
what are we doing today?
I had a question on so why would anyone especially presenters, want to learn the American accent?
It's really interesting that there's a variety of different reasons. So, for example, somebody could be a presenter, a host. I've worked with somebody who is a news broadcaster in the US who is Australian, but wanted to soften his accent so that the audience could understand him better. I've worked with one of my past clients. She was an actor, and she turned into an acting manager, actually, and she found it easier to speak in an American accent living in LA than to speak in her Australian accent. She found it a little bit more relatable to her the people that she tends to speak to day to day. And so for her, she found that actually a good thing. So there's so many different reasons why people might want to change their accent or enhance their accent, not just actors, but for anyone really. And I think it gets really important these days because we're spending so much time online, and it's such a global thing, being digital these days, that you really have to think about your clarity of speech and who you're speaking to and being able to relate to all different types of people from completely different backgrounds and, being able to be understood and get your message out there.
Wow.
So I have another question about dialect in America, and if I'm being snarky, just let me know.
Sure.
She's being snarky, y'all. That was like just the she's being snarky. Okay. Be clear.
No, I'm just thinking in my mind, I'm like,
there's so many different
dialects. I'm like, does that
Yeah.
West Virginia one? No, I'm not specifically picking on West Virginia, but there literally is a
Boston.
scientific like thing where they were like, there's Appalachian English that is harder to discern than most other Englishes. Did I just say Englishes? I did.
And
the most
and
other dialects in the English language.
Right.
That is why.
And so that's what I'm like. So
Snarkiness doesn't look good on you.
yeah, it doesn't. But this got hair talk.
Hair toss. Wow. Hair toss.
Do you teach those as well? Do you teach specialized dialects like Southern or Boston or?
Yeah, I can. And I will, if for example, if I've got an actor that I'm working with that has a specific audition or a role to prepare for that requires a regional dialect, we'll work on that. But what they tend to need more than anything is, I guess, more of a neutral American accent, which means it's just of no specific region. It doesn't sound like I'm originally from Chicago. It doesn't sound like you're from Chicago. It doesn't sound like you're from Texas. It doesn't sound like you're from New York City. It sounds like you could be from anywhere in the US. So basically, what you're doing is you're still sounding American, but you're taking away any sort of influences that might, to your audience go, oh, okay, I know where they're from. So for an audition, it can be really great. And then once you book the role, then you can, play around with the character's voice and decipher how they should sound and bring in some of those regional sounds based on where they're from.
Wow, that's amazing.
Can you tell we're so in the book world?
I know. We're like, and then let's talk some more about accents.
But
okay.
it's important. Like when you're talking about audiobooks, and you've got all these different characters, you want to be able to bring those characters to life, right? And give them a voice. And so how do you distinguish the difference between the different characters in the book and make them, pop out so that it doesn't sound like whoever's reading the book, it's the narrator sounds the same as character one, sounds the same as character two. As a listener, we need to be engaged, and we are when we can, distinguish the difference as the audiobook narrator is going through the different, chapters. We can go along that journey with you if that narrator, the voiceover artist, is crafty enough to, be able to shift their voice pretty quickly.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So as a voiceover actor, you said that you read books. So what's your process when you are going to read a book? Do you like highlight different characters so you'll know to like change your voice?
Yeah. So, it's funny being a voiceover actor, you tend to get drawn to different aspects of the industry. So some people really love doing audiobook narration. They really thrive on that. Other people, they may work more in the commercial aspect of the industry. There's animation, TV shows, promos, all sorts of different types of voiceover. For me, I actually don't do audiobooks, but what I have done quite a bit in the past is character animation work. So I've worked on animated series where I've had to do something similar to, what you may have to do in an audiobook, which is jump from one character's voice to another. And yes, obviously there's different tricks that you can do, whether it's highlighting or marking your script in a certain way so that it makes it leap off the page for you. But most importantly is really that visual, what you see as you're going through the voiceover, whatever it may be, an audiobook or anything else. Is for me, when I'm inhabiting a character, it's visually seeing that world in front of me and making it come to life, and then physically bringing it into my body so that it doesn't seem read off the page. It seems like, that person speaking is living truthfully in the moment.
Wow. And see, now it makes me want to hire her as like a book network, even though she doesn't do it. This is like, but are you sure? I'm American that way. Are you sure?
Sure.
Are you sure? It's not to say that I would turn down an audiobook, it's just that with, you'll find that with a lot of voiceover artists that, they thrive in specific pockets within the industry. So it's just one area that I haven't really tackled. But that's not to say that I wouldn't tackle it. It's just, it hasn't been, my destination so far hasn't gone that way.
So that seems like a career thing though, right? Like sometimes like in their career, like, people are like, no, I do this thing and I do it well. This thing.
Exactly. It's your niche, right?
This thing is my thing.
Yeah.
So you also have a podcast. Can you tell us a bit about the podcast, how it got started, why we should listen?
Yeah. So I started my podcast at the very beginning of this year in January. And I had wanted to do a podcast for years, and people had been asking me to do a podcast for years, and I kept putting it off. It was one of those things I just wasn't sure about the process, how to do it. And then when I learned, I was off and running and just loving it. And I think what's really great about it is it's given me a platform to build my audience and speak to others that are far away and also close by, and let my listeners know a little bit about me. You really get to show your personality in a podcast and let them in a different way, which is really cool. And so it's called the All American Actors Podcast, and it's geared towards international actors. But in saying that, I've got American actors that also listen in. I have people who are not actors who also listen to the podcast and enjoy it, because while it is geared towards, talking about the American accent, I do a lot of interviews with people within the industry so people can get, an insight into different aspects of the industry, from executive producers to casting directors to actors to showrunners. So we really get a comprehensive understanding of what it means to be an actor from different points of view. So I'm finding that my audience is growing and expanding, and that's really cool.
That's like, isn't that all we want to hear? Like, that's all we want to hear. Like, it's podcast. You're like, yes, I'm getting new people.
How you said that, it sounds a little creepy. No, I'm joking.
Well, it probably did sound a little creepy because you feel like, yes, they have found me. I just want you to know, since you said Chicago, all I've been sitting over here is like, I'm eating pizza and hot dogs in my mind, because I'm like, Chicago
And cheesecake.
pizza and hot dogs and cheesecake.
Garrett's popcorn.
Oh my goodness,
I have a bag of that right now.
No, you I'm so jealous.
We always get the ship.
We get a ship. We can't live like
once a month. We get 30-some bags.
Cheese. You can't
So good
without that. Like, how do you? I'm sorry, but you.
Yeah. So we get that shipped along with some hot dogs, a couple of deep dish pizzas, and one cheesecake.
Yes. You're living the life over there.
I'm like, as soon as she said it, I was like, they don't do international shipping.
I was already eating deep dish pizza in my mind. Like, I've been doing it this whole time.
But you can make it at home.
Yeah, my husband actually, he makes it perfectly. So every now and then he'll make a deep dish pizza, which is really exciting. We've got Costco. So the great thing about Costco is every now and then we'll get new items. And last time I was there, they had Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. And I couldn't believe it.
Victory. That is a victory. Yes.
Yeah.
I am so happy for you.
I remember when we got the restaurant, I was weeping. I was like, oh, I'm gonna eat so much cheesecake. And I did. And then I had to go on a really bad diet.
We were like, sprout bread is yummy. Tastes like dried sprouts. All right. So where can people find out more about you on the your website, and then where is your podcast, and
how can we listen?
Wait,
absolutely.
If you want coaching, where can they go? Voice coaching.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So you can find me at katherinebeck.com. or on Instagram, it's Katherine_Beck_. My podcast is called the All American Actors Podcast, which you can find on Apple, Spotify, and Google. And yeah, I teach everyone from actors to online entrepreneurs tend to be my main audiences. So I'm more than welcome to have a chat with you and we can talk about working together.
Oh, that sounds great. You guys should do that.
Y'all should
Because I
do that
mean,
out there. Yeah.
I'm trying to think about how many people watch this that have online businesses. Yeah, you're gonna need that.
You're gonna need it.
I mean, I need it myself. I'm not going to just say it's just you.
Wow. I don't even know where to go from that. So I'm just gonna wrap this up.
Just wrap this up before
I'm
I
just
say
gonna
something
go
else.
ahead. Yes, you can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. While you're there, go to the bottom, see the charities that we probably support, and you can support them also. We thank you in advance for that. And just remember, y'all, wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade. Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, thanks for listening. And thanks for our guests coming on today.